Well, greetings everyone. Once again, it is I, your host, the Comics Prisoner, sentenced for crimes against comics illustration to be forever imprisoned in beautiful pieces of comic art and to sing the praises of it and the artists who make them. And welcome back as we continue our series celebrating the achievement in art in the Incredible Hulk title in 1978 around issues 224 to 228. It was just an incredible time. And before we continue with my critique of that time, I just want to reinforce again that even though I've paid the rent quite a bit of being an artist, and while I think I have some knowledge and understanding of illustration and art, what I'm giving here is just my opinions and also my experiences of encountering this work as a young person, about 15 years old, and how it just had an incredible effect and impact on me. So, with that in mind, let's continue. If I had to boil down my experiences looking at the Incredible Hulk around this time to one word, that word would be surprise. It seemed like every issue around this time was a pleasant surprise coming out of the Incredible Hulk title. And today's page that I find myself confined in is no exception. As we turn our attention toward Incredible Hulk Annual number 7 in 1978, the pleasant surprises continue. Now, what was so surprising? Well, up until this point, annuals were very hit and miss at Marvel Comics. They often were these standalone stories that did not have anything to do with continuity. You could never count on who was working on it or the quality of the talent working on it. It was kind of a hit or miss, you can take it or leave it type of product. So the first thing I noticed when I opened this up as a young man is that, wow, it's in continuity. It's picking up from, I believe, Hulk 226. So it's in continuity. So it's like getting 2 issues of the Hulk in 1 month. Okay, so that's great, right? So the next thing we notice, hey, John Byrne and this new guy inking it, Bob Layton, actually Byrne was also relatively new, are inking it. So whoa, I was really big fans of them. I'd become fans of John Byrne on his Iron Fist run and his Marvel Team-Up run. But they had just come off of doing the late lamented Champions book. The Champions was a book I really liked, but it had fallen victim to the paper shortage of the mid-70s, where Marvel had to ditch pretty much all their bi-monthly books. And if they weren't bi-monthly, then they got promoted to monthly, like Daredevil and X-Men. Although that is not quite the same time. Anyway, I'd liked the Champions books before, but then John Byrne and Bob Layton had come on as the regular art team, and it just looked great. And Bill Mantlo seemed to really like the book when he was writing it, so it was suddenly just getting very good. So here we have now our next surprise is we have the art team from Champions come on the Hulk. It's looking great, and then surprise 3 maybe. It's guest starring Angel and the Iceman, so it's almost like a continuation of the Champions. It's almost a Champions annual we never got. So now this annual is just moving from strength to strength. I mean, we're continuing the narrative from the previous Hulk issue, so it's like getting 2 issues of the Hulk in 1 month, bonus. We have an incredible art team that from the very first page just looks great. And we have almost a undeclared continuation of the old Champions book. Everything this young 15-year-old fan was just really loving. But the name of this particular series is Fantastic Inkers. I love John Byrne's work around this time, and believe me, we will come back and talk about him and his work in this era later. But we are talking about the inkers of this particular time. And so let's look at who we have here today. We have Bob Layton. Now, you say this name now, and you immediately think Iron Man, but this is very early in his career. He had just, like I said, just come off of being the inker on the Champions book. He had not started to, next year or coming up very soon, he would start working on Iron Man, bringing a signature style that would set the book apart, and with his inks that could just capture metal. He was perfectly cast for that book, and he helped skyrocket it. Later, he would also be more of a force writing it. So he really was a triple threat. I mean, penciler, inker, writer, and also other skills that we don't have time to go into right now. Still, as much fun as we were having, this book could be a bit of an emotional roller coaster ride in the beginning when you pick it up, because each time the name changed in the credits, you would wonder, will the quality dip? Like, oh, I was really happy to see Rubenstein, and I was happy to see Sinnott, and I was happy to see Jansen. Oh, here's Layton. And immediately after that free fall, you get reassured that this is going to be just fine. Little did I know, as a young 15-year-old, that most of these inkers, except for Joe Sinnott, came out of the Dick Giordano studio. They were his apprentices. And the nice thing about that is, even though they are different and they have their own style, there's a certain flavor that persevered, that kept it very unified. So you didn't get a lot of jolts. I mean, the first jolt was in the credit box, and then you went on. So if this was on the E network, this would be like a before they were famous episode. Before John Byrne became famous on the X-Men and Fantastic Four, and before Layton exploded in the pages of Iron Man and other titles. But it's funny. It's post Champions, which was, as far as the market was concerned, a failed, canceled book. After Champions, and before Iron Man, where everything would just click, and it was just a wonderful gem, and could be kind of easily lost. Okay, so the nice thing, looking at all this, is artists change as they progress in their careers, and I'm looking at where Layton is now, and this is early in their careers, and they're like feeling their way. They're trying new things. And as I'm looking at this page from Incredible Hulk Annual number 7, where I'm really looking at it for the first time, I'm like starting to see little similarities to Terry Austin. And so it's funny, it's like Layton is almost working with Byrne the way Austin worked with Byrne. And again, what I'm about to say here is just my opinion and my speculation, and I'm literally making this epiphany right now as I'm recording this. But it's my opinion that the reason they look alike is I'm thinking they're both using repeatiographs to do the rendering. Repeatiograph pens were all the rage in the 70s and early 80s. And it's a mechanical pen with ink, excuse me, which would give you lots of control when using like templates and ellipses and everything. But it does give a certain look. So I think even two artists who had very different styles, if they're using the same tool like a repeatiograph, is going to give us a similar mark. So if we look down, really, God, let's just not look down. Let's start at the top. Look at the back of Angel's, look at the top at Angel's back and how Layton's rendering the muscles. I think, again, my guess, that the fact that he was using the repeatiograph, the lines just have to look similar to Austin's, who was well known for using repeatiographs and inking and did it much longer. I do think that Layton had a dalliance with this and then abandoned it for other tools. as he went on in his career. Now let's drop down to the bottom of the page, and we have Warren Worthington has slinked off and has been asked to get into his costume, and he makes his appearance. He unveils himself in his old X-Men Angel costume. And so I'm looking at how the right side of his chest, actually turning every form going down the figure, has these parallel lines that look very much like it was made by a repeatograph. And so again, it has something of an Austin look to it. It's almost like we're getting a preview of the greatness that was going to go on in the X-Men comic book with Byrne and Austin. Isn't that amazing? Just a personal side, I love how they did Angel's wings, the very delicate, sensitive, strokes of his wings, and showing that this is a lightweight thing. It's not the wing of an aircraft. Also, I'd like to mention that this early on in an artist's career, usually one would wear their influences on their sleeve. You would think that that Layton would look a lot like the person he apprenticed under, Dick Giordano. I don't see a lot of Dick in here. Also, Layton was well known for having worked with Wally Wood and liked Wally Wood a lot. So you would think there'd be a lot of Wood influences here. I don't see that. Although I do see, let's just say modern. The modern Neal Adams Continuity Associates studio look. But it was all new to me, and it seemed so professional and so slick and just so hip and new, and so like everything else. Everything was just working for me. Now to go on, one more strength, as we're going from strength to strength, which will serve in a subliminal way, is that Bob Layton's actually a very good teacher of comics art. I've seen some of his lessons online where he talks about how to create a foreground, middle ground, background relationship. I don't know if I pronounced all that. I'll say it again. Foreground, middle ground, background relationship to help make a scene and a setting and make it look like you're looking at a picture, not looking at a drawing. So that's the job. One of the jobs of the inker is to always make clarity, so that when the reader opens up the book, he isn't like assailed by confusion. Because if the reader is assailed by confusion, he's not going to buy that book. He's like, oh, I can't read this. What is this? And he'll just close it, put it back on the rack, and just leave. While there's a lot of detail in this page, none of it's confusing. It's all in the service of the image and the story. You move effortlessly from panel to panel, and each panel works on its own as its own piece of art, and the page itself works as a whole, which is again one of the other jobs of every artist on the comic book, is to make each individual panel work as a single piece of art, and then all those panels come together where the whole page is a single piece of art. So again, I think this was like a wonderful glimpse at things to come. Roger Stern was going to just keep getting stronger and more accomplished as a writer in the Marvel bullpen. John Byrne was going to go on to become a major force. Bob Layton was going to expand, not just in the visuals, but in writing and also in management and editorship, as being what we would call a showrunner in television today. It's great, but it is still their early work, and it just shows, the greatness of things to come. Well, looks like the clock on the wall tells me that once again visiting hours is about to close. You're going to be hustled out of here. I'm going to again just leave this page here for you to look at, enjoy its greatness. Imagine a time where everyone of disparate talents and mindsets could come together and work under a house style and put out several issues of a great series of a comic book called The Incredible Hulk. So I hope you'll stick with us as we as I move to another page for next time. Like I said, if you ever want to send some of your drawings for me to ink when I'm on a work release, that'd be great. It'd be a fun thing for us to do together as a community. Also, the warden tells me if you like what you've seen here, please feel free to like, subscribe, smash the bell. It'll help the channel, it'll help us grow the channel, grow a community. To me, it's the more the merrier. I'm going to continue doing these things, and I hope I'm doing it for someone out there. So, until next time, as I always say, 4 walls do not a prison make, but comics can be a very cool prison. Take care now. Bye.